Kerala is known as God's own country for its wealth of natural resources. Curries in this part of India are lighter, less creamy, and take full advantage of the region's abundant spices. Today I'm making a South Indian style curry, green pea, potato and chicken. First thing I need to do is parboil some potatoes. So when we talk about parboiling something, it means get the cooking started but don't finish it completely. I've just got a couple of inches of water in the bottom of my pot here. Give them a good salt too. Your potatoes love salt. I'm going to keep an eye on those. I want them to come to the boil, but I'm not wanting them to cook all the way through because they'll finish cooking off in my curry. So let's start getting some of our flavourings into this curry. In a lot of French and Italian and perhaps other European style cooking, they're always dicing the old onion. But in a lot of Indian cooking, there's a lot more of the slicing of the onion, which I quite like. So you get these lovely, big, graceful strips of onion. And we've got garlic. And these are two quite big flavours in this curry. So I've used a relatively large onion, and now I need to use 4 or 5 cloves. Make it kind of garlicky. If they're small, use your brain. Use more. If you just nip the little pointy ends off, then you can smash it onto your board, and that way all the skin comes away nicely. See, it's good exercise cooking, isn't it? Oh, now let's check my potatoes, because I don't want those to overcook. Sharp knife. Oh, and they are tender on the outside but not on the in. So I'll just drain these, and I can just leave those there. I want to make the base for my curry, and that involves, first of all, heating about 3 to 4 tablespoons of rice bran oil. And the first of my ingredients to go in are 3 teaspoons full of whole mustard seeds and 3 of whole poppy seeds. And just let those start to fry off, and you know that they're done when the mustard seeds start to pop, and they do give you a little bit of a fright. It's like, whoa! The fact that they're popping tells me that they're roasting on the outside and that they're really starting to release all of their flavours, which is fantastic. Before it gets too hot, let's throw our onions in there. Woo! And with our onions, I want to get a fair bit of colour on them, because onions, when they have caramelised on the outside, sort of imbue this beautiful flavour into a sauce. So time to add my garlic. Now I can see that that has started to really take on some colour, so it's time to add the rest of my spices. I'm using 3 teaspoons of ground coriander and 2 teaspoons of cumin, 1 heaped teaspoon of turmeric. That'll really give a wonderful look to our curry. And then a little bit of heat, 3/4 of a teaspoon of ground chilies. Nice big pinch of salt. And then a really, really common spice from the south of India is black pepper. And I'm using a good 1/2 teaspoon of ground black pepper. It's quite a key spice in this particular recipe. Oh, that's looking great. The colour that you want to look for here is a dark golden colour. So I can add my par-cooked potatoes that are tender on the outside but still need a little bit of cooking, so they can go straight into our spices. And you see, if you overcook them at the parboiling stage, they tend to break up, and that's really boring. You just end up with a mush and then sad face. Now, to add a little bit of juice to my curry, I'm going to use 3 tomatoes. You could use crushed tinned tomatoes if you like. And I'm just going to grate these into my curry, and it's a wonderful way to get the crushed tomato effect without having to be boring and dice them or skin them or anything like that. What I like about this curry is it's really healthy. Get rid of that. Let's have a look. Oh, that's looking great. Now I'm using tamarind paste here, or tamarind concentrate, and this gives a beautiful sour taste, very common in curries in India. I'm using 2 teaspoons of this. I'm going to add, by the look of things here, start off with 1.5 cups of water and see how we go. So I'm just guessing here how much I need. It is a fairly thin curry. Let's throw it all in. If I need more later on, I can always add it, and if it looks as though it's too thin, you can always keep cooking it and evaporate some of that water off. Alright, I'm going to get my next ingredient, frozen peas. And the fact that they're frozen means that they're always in season, and I love that. I'm going for around about 1.5 cups. Oh, there's always a few that escape, isn't there? Now those just need to cook through. That looks just so yummy. Now while that simmers, my final ingredient, my chicken breast. What I love about using chicken breast for this particular curry is it's lean, so it's nice and healthy. And I'm just going to dice up these boneless breasts, slightly smaller than my potatoes. but easy enough just to pop a piece into your mouth. We can just throw that straight into our curry, and in we go, and stir that through. That looks good. There's not too much liquid in there, just enough to almost cover our chicken and our potatoes. That needs 10 minutes on a rapid simmer. That's enough time for the flavours to develop and the chicken to cook through, and then it'll be ready. While my curry finishes cooking, I can get on with making my next dish, which is a spicy cabbage. Now with this cabbage, I'm putting coconut and cumin, and I'm going to spice it up with a little bit of chilli as well. So let's get on to just shredding this relatively fine. A little bit of heat on this pan. You only need a small amount of oil. We're doing almost a dry fry. I'm using whole cumin seeds here, and I've got some grated coconut, and this will just toast up really nicely. We'll just keep this moving around. We don't want it to get too much colour on it. I can throw my cabbage in here and just spread it out kind of evenly. Once it starts to actually cook, it starts reducing in volume and getting a bit floppy, but I don't want it to get too overcooked. So just keep it on a low heat. And that gives me enough time to spice it up with a little bit of chilli. A nice fine slice here is what I'm after. That's looking just about cooked, so I'm going to add just a squeeze of lemon. And what that does is it really brings the flavour of some of those spices up, as well as adding just a little bit of liquid so that that cabbage does its final bit of cooking. That looks good, but I need to taste it. I swear that is almost the only way I like cabbage, with a slight bite to it and beautifully spiced up with these different flavours. You can serve it either hot or at room temperature, and I really like food that is quite forgiving in that way. Now the chicken, let's have a look at that. Oh, that's looking fantastic. All I need to do is taste it. It's good, but a little bit of salt will just lift those flavours a little bit. Give it a bit of a stir. Let's get this served up. Treat the food gently at this stage. Those potatoes are beautiful and tender, so they will want to break apart. Oh, pile that up in there. Let's have a little try. That's great. The peas are really soft and mushy, and the chicken is really moist. It's really drunk up all of that liquid and all of the spices that were infused into that. That's a great South Indian curry. It's healthy, it's easy to make, and it tastes delicious.